We missed Jim last week, but he is here this week. It is time for Cover Your Assets with Jim Lynch. Jim is an independent voice on Wall Street, the economy, also sports, various things. He's got a lot of years of experience under that belt on these subjects and more. And we speak to him just about every Tuesday morning. Hope your wife is feeling better this morning, Jim.
I certainly am.
All right. Well, here we go. We are sitting here after the Super Bowl, and anybody who criticized Tom Brady or makes fun of Tom Brady has got to realize that, folks, he took a team that didn't have any preseason, learned as they went. They were 7-5 at one point of the season, and then they rolled off 8 consecutive wins, 3 playoff wins on the road, and the Super Bowl. And I just think he just anointed himself probably one of the greatest players in NFL history now, Jim.
Well, he certainly did wonderful things this season. And the Bucs came prepared. The defensive coordinator did a marvelous job in creating a plan that stymied Mahomes. And I don't know, after a while, it seemed as if the Chiefs lost heart. I thought the game was going to change dramatically when they made that goal line stand, but nothing changed. Things just got worse. But yes, Brady, you can't really say enough about him in terms of his career and in terms of the game. And so God bless him. And he came through all of this and is in good shape, so he's ready for another season.
All right, so we'll move on from the Super Bowl because it's the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl, and it's something that we go through each year. We can take a look at in general some of the stories that are out there. An impeachment trial will begin in the Senate. We're pretty much sure where it's going to wind up. Probably with an acquittal again, but that is underway. But the thing that I want to ask you about, Jim, is this is going undetected, and this is one of the things I like about Joe Biden. All this is going on. There's a lot of focus on the impeachment and things like that. But Joe Biden is cleaning out a lot of the Justice Department rabble that was brought in there by Donald Trump, and now. He is going to act extremely fast on appointing judges and getting more judges in there than Donald Trump had appointed. That's a pretty big issue because when you as anybody knows, when you look at the Supreme Court, if you've got a certain ideology. Now, they don't vote politically, of course. They don't, Supreme Court members. But there is an ideological tilt to every Supreme Court, and there is an ideological tilt to the different courts around the country. So this is a pretty important story and Joe Biden has done very well in his first few weeks as president.
Well, it's witness to the fact that he's had all his experience in government, and he's got the personality and the calm, I'd say, that enables him to get by the noise. And he's smart enough, having been there for a long time in Washington, to avoid getting into fights that don't get him anything and does distract from what he wants to do and distracts from his normal energy flow, which is pretty significant when you think of what he's done in just a couple of weeks, and getting over this insurrection and getting beyond that, and being very, very prudent in letting everybody know this is up to the Senate. I can make my comment, but this is up to the Senate. So I think we should be very happy with his first several weeks, and hopefully he can keep it going. This pandemic, of course, is unfortunately it's like a very tall mountain that and you can't see the top because the mountain's in the sky in the clouds. And I just hope to God that he continues to be persistent and spend the money and marshal the military, the National Guard, that is, and marshal corporations and hospitals and put everybody together under the federal government to do this. The problem is we've been trying to deal with this on a state-by-state basis, and that's proved very, very incorrect. I think he is in the mode of he wants to lead it all, not he, but the government. And once we get it rolling like that, we'll be able to handle this. But right now, this thing is really very, very difficult. It was a shame watching the Super Bowl. Prior to the game, they showed all of the places in Florida. The bars were 110% packed, no masks. So, the scientists really have a tremendous challenge here, not only with the virus, but with the psychology of people. And God love them, everybody wants freedom and enjoyment and so forth, but it makes this job for Biden and Fauci more and more difficult.
What nothing signifies that better than the shot, and they're all taking a lot of heat for it into the owner's box at Tampa Bay during the game, and there was the governor of Florida, the owner of the Tampa Bay Bucks, and the head of the NFL, all sitting there side by side, not members of the same family, none of them wearing a mask. I mean, it's just one of those things. I saw that shot in the first half. I went to bed and I just said, yeah, it would have been so good.
It's really incredible that these people in such important positions at this time, be it Governor Newsom months ago or the folks you've just mentioned, that they just, it's like you get up in the morning and you have a checklist, and one is wear mask when I go to any meetings, wear mask when I'm ever in public. How difficult is that? That's, it's leadership, and it's not a big job in doing that particular thing, but I don't know. I'm befuddled. I don't have any answers for that.
I just don't know how the NFL can fine coaches and players for not wearing their masks correctly on the sidelines and then sit there at the biggest game of the year. Here you've got a chance as a governor, as a team owner, and as a league president to set a very limited standard that, hey, we're wearing our masks even up here. It's one of those things that just, I scratch my head. And you're right. I wonder, don't these people have assistants to tell them, hey,
I know.
Put a mask on.
I know, you're right on there. I mean, they all have assistants. And they all get prepped for things and so forth.
God.
And how hard is it? The assistants should have several masks with them and just say, okay, here, time to put it on, end of story.
Now, it's interesting. I this morning when I got up, I Googled the news, and I saw 2 or 3 different interviews with 2 or 3 different lawyers defending people that were engaged in that riot and that assault on the Capitol. And each one of them lays the blame, of course, because they're lawyers and they're at the feet of Donald Trump as president of the United States. And even though that a lot of these protesters that stormed the Capitol did have plans a week in advance, the ability for them to march en masse to the Capitol and disguise themselves amongst other people who are just following Donald Trump because they listen to Donald Trump, they're fans of Donald Trump, they voted for Donald Trump. It was a perfect, and people, I'm surprised more people would say this was a Trojan horse attack by putting all those people, all those militia people, in with people that Donald Trump sent on down to the Capitol, and it was a Trojan horse attack. And you know what? It succeeded. And I'm surprised nobody in the media has brought this up. That this was a classic, putting soldiers inside the Trojan horse and getting them inside. I sit here now and I look at it weeks later, and you hear everything that led up to this, where the National Guard wasn't armed, they weren't ready to go in due to orders from the Defense Department. You just shake your head at this, Jim, and you say, this impeachment trial is going to bring out a lot of new information, but none of it is going to make a difference. None of it. I just don't know why the Democrats and the Republicans didn't get together and come up with a censure where, due to his part in helping this happen, the president can no longer run for political office. because the impeachment is such a high hill to climb that it's just never going to happen.
Well, unfortunately, the information keeps coming out that this was well planned. The president at the top of the list, Giuliani, Michael Flynn. There were 3 senators at the meeting the day before the insurrection. The reporter did not have the names. I think he worked on the story by looking at posts and things of that nature. But this was a very high-level planning. And the fact that the Defense Department basically would not send in the National Guard until Mike Pence, not the president, Mike Pence had to tell the National Guard to go and calm the situation down. Now, it's very plain and simple. And if indeed the Senate doesn't convict, and they probably won't, the Republicans, this could be a watershed moment for the Republican Party in that it's going to be very difficult to recover from this vote because the information is going to get larger and larger. More names are going to be brought up, and the new administration is going to be forced to investigate not only the insurrection, but all the players involved in the insurrection. Nobody has ever seen this. I mean, we were 200 years ago, whatever, we weren't here. But it's impossible to understand this. And I can only think in terms of cult that Trump created this cult, and basically he bamboozled the Republicans to believe that he could deliver the goods, and you better take care of me and vote for me. And they went along with it. I mean, they're all complicit. This is that nobody is free of guilt on this one.
All right, now I've had a couple of people message me and wanted me to ask you the question because I really couldn't answer it. I want to go to the stock market. I want to go to Robinhood, not Robinhood Radio. We have Robinhood Radio is 3 different words.
Marshall, excuse me, you're kind of cutting out.
I want to talk about Robinhood and the GameStop, and people want to know. They've asked me, why is this such a game changer for people involved in stocks, and they want to get the full information on really from an expert, somebody who knows what happened with Robinhood and this GameStop that is so significant and that is going to lead to so many different investigations.
Well, the investigation is going to show simply that Robinhood basically caught the institutions or the hedge funds short the stock. There was very little of the stock outstanding in people's hands. So when you go short, you normally borrow. But I'm afraid some people went naked because the company is not the greatest company in the world. And the net result is these little individual investors piled in to buy calls, which is a very speculative way to buy something, but it's very highly leveraged. And as this was going on, the other hedge funds who weren't short this stock went and bought this stock. So that's what I assess will come out of this. Now, in terms of what happened, I don't know that it wasn't anything other than a bunch of speculators getting together and looking at some things that were pretty obvious. That, one, there was a big short interest in the stock. 2, there was not a lot of stock that you could borrow in terms of if you were short the stock. And they just played the right card by buying calls rather than stock because they got tremendous leverage with the calls. Now, the investigation, yes, fine, investigate. But what are you going to find? What you should find is that Robinhood basically has a way of not charging commissions, but getting payback from the people who are executing their orders, and they're actually making more money in their operation, and it's not disclosed to the individual investor that they're making a lot more money than the normal stock commission. So a lot is going to come out, and it's too bad we've got so many other things going on. It is very important, but I hope we don't get bogged down. Everybody, all the politicians have their little comments. I'm thinking of them now in my head, and I'm saying, why the hell weren't they talking about the pandemic during that time they had on the television? This has hurt primarily hedge funds that were overly short to billions of dollars. It helped to a degree the little guy who eventually got socked. But this is not the most important thing on the planet. And politicians, we want to investigate, this, that. I don't hear anybody saying, let's investigate the insurrection. I don't see anybody saying, let's investigate all of these people that Trump has pardoned, nor the people who are still out there enabling him. So I think this is important, but it is really not the most important thing by a long shot.
No, and there's another story that's bubbling out there, which I haven't heard many people talk about. Weeks ago, you heard about the possibility of it, but now the Georgia Secretary of State, who is a Republican, he has launched a formal investigation into that phone call where Donald Trump tried to change the vote total. That is a big story that sits there along with the New York Attorney General, what's going on in their district there. But this is a story now that this is official now, that this could be more problematic for Donald Trump than just about anything else.
I totally agree. And once again, we're not paying attention in the media to things like this. By the way, I'd say there's a good shot at, and I don't have any information, this is speculation, that D.C. Might decide to charge Trump with indictment, with inciting the riot in their city. I mean, there's going to be a lot of more stuff here. This is why Trump has done everything illegally that he possibly could to forestall his being thrown out of office, because the guns are waiting for him. I'm talking legal guns.
Well, you would figure that the common people that got caught up in this Trojan horse attack, the people who really don't have a violent bone in their body, but because they were on the scene and people were rushing and the excitement and everything like that, those people, when they get dragged into court, are also going to probably try to defend themselves up to the last moment by bringing suit against the former president. So there's so many different things that the news is covering that's regarding, and we thought that. I think most people thought that you'd be rid of Trump news, but you know what? It's obviously going to be something that's on the front burner, and really, you're right. We should tell more of the tale of COVID-19, where under the Biden administration now, shots are up to, testing is way up. Shots are up to 1.5 million now, and going forward. And across the country now, we finally can see a dramatic drop in deaths in ICU populations, and even in people contracting the virus. I think right now what we need in the middle of this long, cold winter after a very, very, very hard year is more of the information on COVID-19 and how the response is getting better, and how, yes, the danger is still out there, and Americans right now, with things getting better, should really take this time to buckle down over the next 3 months and say, you know what, things are going in the right direction. Let's put an end to this in the next 3 months.
Amen, brother. Amen. To watch Dr. Fauci in his press conferences, you see how worried he's become, not so much verbally, but you can see it in his face because of what you just said. The next couple of months could be very, very difficult, very problematical. But we can deal with it. We've already You just cited figures. It is getting better, but we cannot relax. We should intensify our efforts.
Well, we've got about a minute left here, Jim. Want to wrap up?
Yeah. On a positive note, a grandniece of mine, Katie Keene, Kene, she was a graphics person on the Super Bowl, and she's the first woman to have the top chair in graphics at CBS. So we're all very proud of her. And my godson, who was actually born on my birthday, her brother, he sent me the interview of her with the two sportscasters. And, of course, Tommy, my grandson, ended with, "It's too bad it was such a clunker." CBS will probably get the Super Bowl in a couple of years. But that made my day. I just saw that when I hit the phone this morning.
Well, the game...
Be of good cheer, folks.
Yep.
Keep slugging. And don't let this trial take you down. We will get stronger and stronger as we get more and more truth.
All right, Jim, we'll speak to you next week.
You got it.
Take care,
Good
buddy.
talk to you. Bye-bye.
Jim Lynch, and Cover Your Assets this morning here on Robin Hood Radio. You can also find him on demand, robinhoodradio.com. Click on demand, Jim Lynch, Cover Your Assets.